All right, this is your review for the second half of Chapter 8. It's all about factoring and solving. The first one asks to name one factor. Well, my error here, hold me. It's not so light. There we go. That's better. Okay, one factor here is, or problem here is that this has many factors. What the question really is specifically asking you to find is factor this polynomial using a GCF, which they all have a 3 in common, an x in common, and a y in common. When you remove a 3xy, you're left with a 9. 1x minus, move 3 from 9 is 3. The x's cancel, you're left with a y, plus the 3's, shouldn't say cancel, simplify. X squared over x simplifies to x. Y squared over, yes. So that should be what you receive. So 3xy isn't in there. Okay. And 9x minus 3y, oh, this would be your answer because they didn't have 3xy and they didn't have 9x minus 3y plus xy. So your answer is C. Okay, number 2, factor the following polynomial using a GCF. So they both have a 2 in common and an a in common. So you're going to be left with an a and a 2. People make errors here because they just see something similar to it and circle it, but be careful. They all look really similar, but B is your answer. Number 3, factor the following polynomial using the GCF. They don't have anything in common. So it's not A, B, C, or D. Well, it'd be D, prime polynomial. Can't factor it. Make sure to show as much work as possible because if answers are just circled, I cannot give you full credit. Okay. When the expression x squared minus 2x minus 35 is factored, which was one of its factors? Well, we have 3 terms. We don't have a plus in the back. So it's going to be x and x. And it's going to be minus 7 plus 5. So your answer is A. It's not this one, it's not this one, and it's not this one. All right, number 5. Find an expression for the perimeter of a rectangle. Well, if this area is length times width, then these were 2 factors to find the length and the width. We know we have x and x. I see here it's probably going to be a 3 and a 27. The 27 has to be positive, and this has to be negative, so we can get a positive 24. So we're not really sure which is the length and which one's the width, but it doesn't matter because they just get multiplied together. So if you're trying to find the perimeter, you know that there's 2 sides with x minus 3, and there's 2 sides with x plus 27. So your answer would be A. 2x minus 3's and 2x plus 27's. On the back, it says solve each equation and display your answers in set notation and graph. All right. The zero product property says if you factor a polynomial, you can then set each factor equal to 0 and solve. This problem is already factored for you, so you don't need to factor it. You just set each piece equal to 0 and you solve. Okay. Both have a 2 in common? 4 in common? Yeah, 4 in common. 4m, so you're left with 5 minus 5m minus 4. Zero product property says you take each piece or factor, set it equal to 0, and solve. This means that if I substitute 4/5 back in here, or 0, I'll get 0. If I substitute a negative 2/3 or a 2 back in here, I should get 0. here, got to make sure everything is to one side. So I'll bring that 13x over, making it negative. There's a GCF of x equals 0, and x minus 13 equals 0, therefore x is 13. You need to make sure that the person, whoever is reading this, can see your answers clearly. So not looking all around your paper. All right, last one. Can we trim the fat? Yeah. Take a 3 out. Oh, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't work. So we can't use a GCF. Let's see if it's even factorable. If it is factorable, the GCF didn't work. Well, let's see. 3 times 15 is 45. Are there factors of 45 that give you 12? Well, there's 9 and 5. 15 and 3, but that'd have to be negative. Okay, so there's a typo here. So let's write this. There's a typo. So we have 3 terms. I see that there's a GCF. Can we factor what remains? You have 3 terms. You have a plus in the back. It's negative, negative. So factors of still wouldn't work. All right, so this one is prime. There was no typo. Okay. Here's the thing. There is a way to solve this, but you're not going to be able to until Algebra 2. So I'm not going to put that on you now. All right. Find the area of the shaded region. Well, the shaded region is just this chunk. We'd have to remove these 2 chunks from the whole thing to find the shaded region. So the area of the entire thing is length times width. So area of the entire thing is x plus 10y times x plus 8y. You're going to get x squared plus 8xy plus 10xy plus 80y squared. So the area of the whole thing is x squared plus 18xy plus 80y squared. All right. I'm going to subtract the 2 little white boxes. Well, the 2 little white boxes, the first white box is x times x, so x squared, and you have another x times x, which is x squared. So 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. So I'm going to remove a 2x squared. So the area of the shade is 1x squared minus 2x squared, which leaves you with a negative x squared plus 18xy plus 80y squared. Units squared. Okay. All right. This one says, as a 4th of July celebration, a rocket is launched into the air with an initial velocity of 125 feet per second. The height of the rocket in feet above sea level is modeled by the equation h equals 125t minus 16t squared, where t is the time in seconds after the rocket is launched. What is the height of the rocket when it returns to the ground? Your height would be 0. Therefore, let h equal 0 to solve the equation. So this is the equation of the rocket. Whatever the height is, it's equal to this equation, and t represents time. So if my height is 0, what is the time? So we need to factor. Can I take a 16 out for 125? Let's take 125 divided by 16. It's not pretty. So we can take a t out, though. All right. Zero product property says take each piece and set it equal to 0. So we have 0 seconds and 7.8125. So T is about 7.8 seconds. Why did we also get 0? Because there's startings and landings. When you have the rocket, it's on the ground at 0 seconds, and then how many time goes by? 7.8 seconds. You're at 0, you're at 0. Okay, so that's how you complete this one. So this is your review guide for the second part of your test. That's why it's short, because it's half of a chapter. All right, once you complete this, submit in your folder.